Welcome to the What If podcast with your hosts, Spencer Worth-Davis and Ryan Copperrood.
Hey everybody, we wanted to start off things today with a very quick announcement you have been waiting for a long time, which is that Robot Grandma t-shirts have arrived.
It's lit.
Shout out to...
It's a celebration, bitches.
It's a celebration beer. Yeah, we listener Elijah Grimm at Grimm Schret on Twitter and Instagram. We'll put his name, a link to his name in the show notes for today. Has done an amazing Robot Grandma design, and they are now available at the newly live shop.whatifpodcast.com.
Fam, we sent one to Germany and New Zealand last week. What in the goddamn fuck is going on?
You know what the amazing part is?
That t-shirt is dumb as hell. Why are people in New Zealand buying it?
No, it's not dumb as hell. It's amazing and super well done. I mean it is based off...
It's all three of those things, but yes.
It's based off of a dumb joke we made, but
that's what I meant.
Phenomenal. Yeah, the store is up. If you go to shop.whatifpodcast.com, not only is there just Robot Grandma t-shirts, but we got some dope What If camper hats. We got a hoodie up there.
We do?
Yup.
I legitimately didn't know this until right now.
Oh, tight. Yeah, there's a dope mug up there.
Say what?
Yeah, we got 5 or 6 cool things that we kind of designed up. So you can also get a poster of the What If.
Oh shit! Look at us.
You can also get a Robot Grandma poster. I love the idea of Spencer buying our own merch from our own store because it's tight. But
it's
yeah,
basically free that way, right? That's how that works?
I think
Is that how the math works out?
That's not I know we're bad at math, but I'm pretty sure that's not how math works. So yeah, go check it out. We've already had a ton of people. The cool part was we didn't even tell you guys that shop.whatifpodcast.com is open for business, and a bunch of people found it anyway and started buying Robot Grandma t-shirts. So we out here. Thanks to everybody that's already supported the show that way. And if you want, we got a little code up on the website, but you'll have to check it out for 10% off your order too, which is pretty sweet. So if you enter that at checkout, you'll get 10% off what you're buying. So yeah, check that out. And thanks to everybody for copping. And one more time, thanks to Elijah Grimm for doing us a solid with the Robot Grandma design.
You want to talk about cows' faces falling off?
Yeah, kinda. Man. Okay, so I was just about to start saying this to Spencer right before we started recording, but I was saying that we haven't done an episode in a while where I was researching it. I was like, all right, well, I'm officially severely weirded out.
This one got you, huh?
This one got me real good. Real good for a wide variety of reasons that we'll
weird. I mean, on the bright side,
into.
you are a human, and it's not called human mutilation.
Well, yeah.
It's called cattle mutilation, or sometimes bison mutilation.
Or
band name also.
Bovine excision was a fucking...
What?
Yeah, that was a hardcore one. Bovine excision.
That should be like an EDM artist. That's not even a band name. That's like a festival lineup.
Yeah, the bovine excision. That's a pretty.
Yeah, I'm gonna start an EDM festival called Bovine Excision
or death metal. Death metal. That's gonna be our next band name T-shirt. It's Bovine Excision.
Yeah, perfect.
Whatever listener wants to make that happen, holler at your boys. Hi, whatifpodcast.com. Like a Bovine Excision T-shirt. Yeah, it goes by a lot of names, and they're all fucked up, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we don't normally do content warnings, but this might be one to be like, we're not going to get too crazy. But
we're going to talk about dead animals.
We're going to talk about dead animals and the body parts that dead animals seem to be missing in the world sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's called cattle mutilation, which I think accurately describes how gross it's going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
We won't get extra gross with it. But
No. We are going to make some jokes about it, though, to make it more palatable.
Probably. So I guess we should probably start with what this phenomenon entails.
We might as well kick it off.
I'll make it quick. Animals, usually cows, but sometimes sheep, horses, bison, or deer are found dead.
Goats?
Yeah, goats, sometimes goats, without a clear cause of death. And in many cases, the animals are missing body parts and have had some or all of their blood drained. There are no footprints or vehicle tracks near the animal. Sometimes strange lights or UFOs are reported in the area of the animal mutilation.
You know how much, how many pounds?
12 pounds. 12 pounds.
11 to 12 pounds
It's a
of
real
blood
thirsty chupacabra running
in
around
a
out there.
grown-ass cow.
Yep.
That's so many pounds of blood.
Yes, vampire chupacabras. Episode over.
The end. We've solved it. Good night, everyone.
Precise and clean cuts are used to remove parts of the face and sexual organs. There's no blood is found on the ground usually either, so somehow it's been removed without being spilled anywhere. And often so we said sexual organs, but sometimes like other soft tissue has been like cored out almost, like the eye or the brain or the anus or other squishy bits have been sucked out somehow.
Your cow dick.
Cow dick?
Cow dick. They took the cow dick. It's a squishy bit.
Cows don't have dicks. Udders?
Bull
dick.
Udders, yes. Bull dick. Sorry.
Okay.
I went with cow. Bull dick. Cow dick. Cow. Yeah. You get it. You guys get it.
Ryan has been drinking some weird milk.
Weird milk? Did you say?
Comes from the cow dick, right? That's where you get it.
Go back to school, kid.
The sort of standard medical scientific explanation is that the animals have died of natural causes, whatever that might be, and then they've been ravaged by predators and or insects to remove the squishy bits and to expedite decomposition of the animals. And that sometimes bloating that happens after death can cause the skin to tear in very sharp, straight lines, which might be responsible for some of the alleged cuts and incisions that are made into the animals. The bovine excisions. They
do see the thing about that, not to like immediately debunk the professional explanation of this, or not debunk, we can't debunk anything, but
challenge.
A lot of the people, well, a couple things. One, the word excision itself means to be removed surgically, you know?
Right.
And
incision is to cut, excision is to cut and remove.
Cut it like extraction via surgical means.
Via sharp stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like an excision to me being the go-to word that is used in a ton of the investigations and the reports, and even by some of the farmers and the ranchers that have had this experience happen to them, I think says a lot. Like these dudes have seen like a cow die before. If you're a rancher or you're a farmer, like you know what it's like when you find a cow that's been dead for a few days. You wouldn't like report that, you know? That wouldn't be weird to you.
Right.
You wouldn't go, especially for some of these dudes, you look at a lot of the cases and the interviews and reports that we're going to get into. It's a lot of these dudes who've been doing this shit for like 15, 20, 30, 40 years of owning cattle. And they're like, nah, it's not that. It's not that.
Right. Well, and the natural causes thing is strange too, because most ranchers would keep tabs on which animals are healthy and which ones aren't. And you have a lot of money invested in healthy animals.
Hell yeah.
And I would think you would know if one of your animals was likely to die in the next 24 hours.
Right, no doubt. One of the cases that I found, there's a guy named, let me find him here quick. His name was Philip Cantu, and he was a New Mexico cattle inspector. It's
that's a job?
Yeah, they're employed by the local CDC.
That sounds possible.
And they go run around the state and check on the wildlife and make sure that everything's like up to code and that the animals are healthy and there's no like diseases and stuff. And then
are these animals that are going to be consumed by people or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for the purposes usually of being like, is the food chain healthy right now? Are the people that are selling beef in our state?
So is that maybe the FDA then instead of the CDC?
FDA, yeah.
CDC is human diseases usually, right?
That's true. Excuse me, you're right. So probably FDA.
Okay.
But yeah, so he was a cattle inspector in New Mexico in, I think it was the 90s. And he interviewed a guy who basically said that not only, like to your point of them keeping track of an animal that was going to die, often it was the best animals in herds, or like some of the strongest animals in herds.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest bulls were the ones that had gotten taken down by some random thing. And it wasn't like, sometimes it was multiple, but often it's just randomly one. Not so you'd think if it was a disease or something like that was taking over multiple animals at a time, that you'd lose 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 at a time.
And the timing is sometimes very weird too. Like there's the story from the Skinwalker Ranch book that we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Where this can happen in as little as 20 minutes. What was the dude's name? Sherman? What was his first name?
P.W. Sherman Hollywood Lane or something.
It's not even, that's wrong on a lot of levels. It's not the person we're talking about. And that's also not the Finding Nemo reference. But whatever.
Richard
Sherman or whoever owned that ranch.
Yeah.
He was tagging cattle, walked away for 20 minutes and came back to one that was dead and had been mutilated.
Yeah.
So it's not happening naturally and by predators in a 20-minute time frame.
Right.
You're not decomposing. An animal doesn't start to decompose in 20 minutes.
Right.
So something, at least in some of these cases, other than animals and natural causes is happening.
Right. The other thing that I think too, you can call it, even if you call it both blowflies or they say like small predators like foxes and coyotes and shit like that. Birds. Like
they got sharp little beaks.
Maybe
eat your eyes out.
Yeah, maybe they can eat an eyeball out. But can they do an 18-inch deep coring out of an animal's anus in a super short period of time?
You get a bunch of woodpeckers working together? Probably.
Yeah, but oh, bummer.
It's the worst visual I've ever called up in like 65 episodes of this show. I'm sorry, guys.
I was gonna try to
roast myself out just immediately.
We're gonna take 5 and regroup. I almost made a Woody Woodpecker joke to follow that up, and I was like, "No,
what was it gonna be?" You gotta follow through now.
I was gonna try to do a Woody Woodpecker impression, like that.
And what would that sound like? If you were gonna do it, what would it sound like?
So the reason that I stopped was because I was gonna try to do like the or like whatever the fuck it did, but that was not gonna go well, as evidenced by you forcing me to follow through on the thing I knew was not gonna go well.
Do you want to get into some specific? Before we get into specific stories, which we should.
Yeah,
this happens a fucking lot.
That was another thing I wanted to get into.
Like thousands and thousands of these have been reported.
Yeah. What? Let's see. I had a number in here and now I can't find it.
In the last 30 years, there have been roughly 10,000 reported in the U.S.
Yeah, and that's just in the U.S. And I heard through some of my digging that it seems to still happen in the U.S., but less than it used to, and has risen in frequency in South America hugely in the past like 20 years.
Wonder if it's related to the flying refrigerators of death.
Maybe.
Probably is.
The refrigerator's driving around like, look, we don't have any meat in us, so we're going to need some.
You got to fill up.
The other thing about the scavenger stuff too, well, and we can get to this, but like the whole idea that they could get rid of all the blood in an animal is kind of ridiculous. And
Scavengers?
Then, yeah. And then also the idea that oftentimes the things that are most like, go watch an episode of Planet Earth and watch an animal get eaten. Like they go for the guts, they eat out all the intestines and all like the squishy, easy to eat fucking like organs. But
they don't take a core sample of its butt.
Right. Like no one's
and then leave all the rest of it.
Right. A bunch of the cases I found said that certain things like livers and stomachs and things that often get eaten by predators are left intact while like ears are cut off and things like that, where it's like, dude, no animal is out here like, oh, I'm going for that ear first.
And then I'm stopping after 2 ounces of ear.
But 2 ounces of ear, 2 ounces of eyeball, some dick and butt, and then I'm out. Like that's not how animals work.
Right. And then especially to have that pattern repeated over and over and over doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I'll say one more thing before we get into some specific ones. The fuckload of cases thing to me was interesting partially because the volume is like, that's a lot. I mean, if you think, obviously the cow population is huge, but like things that match this set of strange circumstances, that's a lot of reported cases. And it's not just reported, it's documented. Like, if you really want to be bummed out for a little bit, go Google image search cattle mutilations, and you'll see exactly what we mean about like excision lines and, you know, and I think that's part of the reason this one freaks me out so much is like we talk about people getting abducted by aliens, and I'm like, that's pretty weird, but nobody's ever been able to show me a picture aboard the ship when they got abducted by an alien, and I have thousands of photos of fucking surgically like mutilated fucking cows across the world on Google right now.
Did you ever read Ben Mesrick's book, 37th Parallel?
No, you've recommended it to me, and I think we've maybe mentioned it once or twice on the show before.
Okay. It follows, or it is mostly about Chuck Zukowski, who is a cattle mutilation and UFO investigator out of Colorado, who he himself has documented hundreds of cattle mutilations and is often on the scene within hours or days of them happening and has access to the animals.
Mm-hmm.
And that book is really fascinating for a lot of reasons, but he started noticing a pattern that a lot of these were happening along the 37th parallel of latitude.
Yeah.
And there's not really a suggestion as to why that might be in the book, but that there are some odd patterns in terms of where these are happening and with what frequency.
It's a pretty, it's a bold thing to write, like, I'm seeing a lot of weird shit around here and I have no idea why.
Well, and also, like, it's not obviously a totally objective study. He's not taking a sample from the entire world. The first answer to that is, well, you live near the 37th parallel, Chuck. And so that's where you can get in your Jeep is about 2 hours north and 2 hours south of here. So
it's like that stat about most car accidents happen within 5 miles of your home. It's like, yeah, that's because where everyone drives is 5 miles from their home.
Right.
Like you spend the most time that close to your house.
Right. Anyway, that book is interesting regardless of that part of it. That's really sort of a footnote, even though it's the title of the book. But he also runs a really, it's actually a great website called UFO Nut.
Dope.
Yep. Which,
owning it.
Yeah,
He's owning it.
Again, not lending a lot of credibility to yourself right off the bat.
But not about UFOs.
Thanks, Marvin the Martian.
Check me out, guys.
Should we get into some of these stories?
Yeah, I was just gonna say one of the. I'll tell some of mine a little bit later here, but I read some chunks of a book called Secrets of the Mysterious Valley by Christopher O'Brien, and that one
I've heard about that dude.
Yeah, that one has a similar, like, hey, there's a trend in a certain space, and some of the weirder ones I encountered came out of that book.
Quick on-air production meeting.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted at us.
You get some insight, guys.
Somebody tweeted at us about whether or not we have a Goodreads account, which I don't think we do, but maybe we mentioned that we should at some point or something.
It was in the What It Podcast group on Facebook, I think, actually.
Oh, okay. Can we put books in our store?
Yeah, we're working on doing that. So there's going to be two types of books. One type of book is going to be like books that Spencer and I actually have owned and read, like physically, like our books. And if you guys want to,
we're doing that too.
Well,
okay,
we can.
Sure.
Yeah, I know you were trying to get rid of some of the.
I gave a lot of those away, yeah, but that's okay. Or sold them. I just started bringing books when I have shows and selling them instead of CDs and stuff because nobody buys CDs anymore.
But they will buy.
They'll buy
alien
UFO
book.
books, yeah.
But we'll let you know which ones are ones that are actual ones that we've purchased and read, and we can, like, I don't know, sign them or leave you a note inside them or something like that before we send it to you. But yeah, the goal outside of a Goodreads account, which I still don't fully understand exactly what that is, but
I think you just review books.
Okay. We'll probably just end up putting them in a book section on the store. I'm
just like links to Amazon and shit.
Yeah, okay. And we'll be able to basically send you to all the books that we talk about on the show and reference and stuff like that. So, to be continued with the shop.
Okay, cow stories. Ready, set, your turn.
My turn first?
Yep.
Okay, so Secrets of the Mysterious Valley is this book by Christopher O'Brien, who he lived in Colorado and wrote this book which, quote, takes readers on a journey through the world's largest alpine valley spanning south central Colorado and north central New Mexico.
What's going on with Colorado and New Mexico and Utah? Why is so much weird shit happen over there?
A lot of weird shit, man. A lot of bases, a lot of fucking aliens, a lot of fucking ranches.
Skinwalkers, Bigfoots.
Yup. Maybe we gotta go. Maybe we gotta go move out there for a little bit, man.
No,
see what we
thank
can
you.
see. No, thank you. So basically, this book is like a chronological progression of a ton of the weird shit that's been reported in newspapers and in a bunch of different, like media, evening news, whatever, that have happened in this sort of general but also kind of specific area of these two states.
Yeah.
So he just goes like date, time, location, and tells a very short snippet of a story. So the first one that is, I could start pretty bizarre if you want to start pretty bizarre.
Let's go for it.
This guy named Larry Gardia is bear hunting in Chacon, New Mexico.
Always a bad idea.
Why, Larry?
Leave him alone.
Go hunt birds, Larry. Come home safe.
Go to the grocery store,
Go
Larry.
to the grocery
Knock
store,
it off.
Larry. Buy some tri-tip steak, bro.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. So he's hunting in not really, I guess, the woods, sort of the woods, plain.
A bear's house.
Inside of a bear's house. And as he's sort of meandering through the woods trying to hunt bears, he starts to hear a loud humming sound.
What the fuck was that?
He doesn't know per se, but there were cattle in the vicinity of where he was hunting, and he saw them startle from the same sound he was hearing and actually try to basically run the opposite direction from the noise, as animals are want to do. And in a Las Vegas newspaper, Gardia was interviewed about this, and what he states happened next was that one of the trailing cows out of the group of cows that was running away from the humming sound started to be dragged backwards, seemingly by the humming sound, up a hill and into the underbrush.
What?
He said, quote, "The cow appeared to be struggling to get away but wasn't able to escape." And he said the animal sounded like it was being tortured. He basically was spooked out by the sound and couldn't like put it to a location. So he shot several shots from a 30-06 towards it. And the sound
towards this invisible thing that was dragging the cow away?
Towards where the sound was coming from, yeah. And he says
disturbed. I don't know why I decided to do this.
And he said the sound...
Already regretting suggesting this episode.
And he said the sound stopped after that. And he said it freaked him out so bad, which understandably it would, that he went to the sheriff's office in Chacon, New Mexico. And I think this is another one, or this is just another moment to insert that, like, the amount of, we'll get to it later, but there are letters from senators to the FBI about this phenomenon being like, my constituents have reported this to me so regularly and are so disturbed by it that I need you to investigate.
That's an anomalous one, even within all of the weird shit that's going on, though.
Very
Usually
true.
They're not being attacked by invisible predator.
Yes. But Gardia goes to the sheriff's office and comes back to where it happened, and they found one mutilated cow in the exact way that we've talked about, a second cow that had just randomly become crippled, like was unable to walk but was still alive. And then a third cow, which he identified as the one that had been dragged up the hill, up and over into the brush, was completely gone. Like, they weren't able to find it.
Oh, the cow that he saw being dragged was just...
Right, like they went up towards where it had happened, and when they returned with the sheriff, they weren't actually able to track down where that cow
one
had
was
gone.
Kidnapped by interdimensional Bigfoot, and now it's in dimension 31D.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Apparently, other locals outside of Gardia also reported instances of the sound that he heard on that day from other locations.
The sound is an interesting angle to all this. And I don't want to get too far into it because we're going to do a whole episode on mysterious sounds in the next couple weeks. But that something invisible making sound is already pretty fucking weird.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also a cow disappears and another cow breaks all its bones at the same time.
Yeah.
And another cow's dick falls off. Something real weird is going on.
It's bad news, man. Super bad news.
For everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah.
And again, I can't stress this enough because I think this is part of what freaks me out for it so bad. You've got people who live in these areas, who work in these fields, who farm these fucking animals, who see all kinds of like animal death and sickness and illness and unwellness and predators and all that shit all the time.
Yep.
In all of these cases, something so strange and unnerving happens. They're going to their senators. They're going to the sheriff's office. They're like, they're going directly to it. Like, when's the last time you called the police?
That would be never.
So it's like,
no, not true. Twice. One time a guy was laying down in the middle of Lake Street.
It sounds like a good time to call.
And there were a lot of cars that were narrowly missing running him over.
Hey, man.
And I knew that I was about 2 blocks from a police station, so if I called it, they might come help this man not get run over by a car.
Not be in the street, yep.
And another time I got off of a bus and was the only person to witness a guy on a moped run over a dog and get thrown about 20 feet from his moped and break multiple bones.
Whoa.
So I had to call 911 and stay with moped guy.
Did the dog die?
No, the dog kept going.
Whoa.
The dog just ran off. Yeah, the dude was way more fucked up than the dog was.
How is that possible?
I don't know. Meth. The dog was on meth.
Hey, good for that dog. Honestly. So that for what it's worth is one of the weirder ones.
Can we go back to the OG cattle mutilation story?
I have a couple that are closer to OG from the same book if you want me to bring it back a little bit down to earth.
Oh, sure.
This one was north of Cuesta, New Mexico on May 30th, 1994 when a rancher in the area, his name was Tom Reed. Shout out Tom Reed. You probably don't listen to this podcast, but that's a dude I used to be on a poetry slam team with.
The rancher guy?
This is not the same guy. Different guy, same name. Okay. Rancher Tom Reed finds his 3-month-old heifer to have been...
What's a heifer?
A heifer?
A lady cow?
I think so. Can a cow be both male and female and there are bulls and heifers?
Did you just say, can a cow be both male and female?
I meant...
And is that what Allie is going to put on some stupid picture this week?
Because you know what sucks? I think I'm responsible for all of the stupid shit said on What If podcast memes so far.
I think I had one, didn't I? I think the fish thing was me.
Okay. All right.
The Are We Gills thing, I think, was me.
Keep it up, Allie. Keep up. Keep clowning us.
Hey, Siri, I'm going to look up what a heifer is while you...
Hey, Siri. Are we dumb? Hey, Siri, is Allie right? Are we dumb as hell?
Siri, what's my IQ?
Siri, help.
So, legitimately, the first response on Google for what is a heifer is the guy from Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh! Great show.
Was that a dude?
Rocco?
No, the heifer. His one friend.
Were they gendered?
I don't know. I used to love that show.
I did too. Cartoons back in that day that were weird enough that I feel like...
Dude, watch that cartoon now. It is depressing as fuck.
Really? Why?
Rocco's life sucks, and he just narrowly, he puts off suicide until the next episode, every episode.
Oh, that sounds great. I'm gonna watch the shit out of that.
Okay,
no?
A cow is a female that has had at least one calf. A heifer is a female that has never had a calf.
Oh, that's why. So being a 3-month-old heifer it's
a young baby cow.
Obviously, it has not had a cow itself at 3 months old.
A bull is a mature animal that is used for breeding. A steer is a male animal that has been neutered. Got no balls.
Look at that.
His byalls are missing.
Byalls. B-Y-A-L-L-Z.
Byalls.
Byalls. That's how they say it down south. Byalls. So Jerry Valario, sorry.
I thought we were talking about Tom and heifers.
Yes, Jerry Valario.
Tom's heifer is named Jerry?
Is a local... Jesus Christ.
What happened here?
It's like most ranchers be like, C4325, and he's like, this was Jerry.
It's a lady cow named Jerry Cow.
Dude, that's our new TV show. A lady cow named Jerry.
This lady is a cow. My trash ass Jerry Lee Lewis impression. Keep going. Tell us this story.
Womp, 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 womp. Okay.
Heck.
So Jerry Valario is another one of these cattle inspectors. The O'Brien, is it Christopher O'Brien, right?
Chief O'Brien.
Chief O'Brien?
Yeah. He's a chief cattle inspector.
No, Christopher O'Brien, the guy that wrote the book, interviewed a lot of these cattle inspector people because a lot of them had these weird stories. So Jerry Valario was another one of them who drove to Tom Reed's ranch to check out the 3-month-old heifer and found that that the flesh of the dead heifer appeared to have been boiled or cooked in a microwave, is the way that they describe it. Gray
Yikes.
and flaky.
Yikes. Was it one of the flying laser beam refrigerators?
Well,
Isn't that what they did to people?
We'll talk about lasers.
Boiled them from the inside?
But the reason I wanted to tell this one is because this is another weird thing that happens in a bunch of these. Jerry says that when he probed inside the calf's mouth to try to figure out kind of what was going on or what happened to it, he said, quote, my hand started getting irritated. It started itching and turning red, almost like an acid burn or something.
Yeah.
And there's a recurring thing in a lot of these where people who actually touch or interact with them have like numbness or redness or like weird things that wouldn't normally happen if
people
you
have
just
reported strange smells too, and having
chemical smells,
like an allergic reaction just to being in the vicinity sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes the soil has gotten messed up too, where stuff won't grow wherever that animal died.
For sure.
I don't know enough about chemistry to know if maybe there's some normal reason for that.
Happens.
But
one of the other interviews I saw talked also about how ranchers have sometimes noticed, because other cows will stand outside or away from it. Normally they will like move away, but almost like the cows were giving it a perimeter, kind of. And
could
also
that just be an instinctual like protective thing though? If an animal is sick or dying or dead?
Yes, although I've also seen in some of the stuff that I looked up that it was the same way for other like predators and birds. Like it seemed like there was no wildlife that would come within a certain distance of the dead cow.
Do you think it's possible that if you were developing a chemical or experimental weapon of some sort and you needed to see how it interacted with live things, you would test it on one cow out of 1,000 in the field next to where your secret military base is?
Yes. Yeah.
And then that would be weird enough to keep the other animals away because it smells unnatural or is unnatural or something?
I mean, yes and no. I guess I'm sure after we tell some more stories, we're going to get into what is causing this, but
yeah.
And
I don't know if there's necessarily a cause either. It could be a combination of things.
But I guess, like, I don't know. It seems like a pretty dumb on the government or military or whatever. It seems pretty dumb to just go do that a bunch of times in a way that is very like.
Yeah, our government would never do anything dumb.
Well, I know.
The military has never done anything stupid before.
As evidenced by 70 episodes of this fucking show, there are lots of dumb things they have done. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you wanted to keep that weapon or its effects under wraps, going out and using it all over the country on alive things is probably not a great.
I guess I wasn't suggesting that it was responsible for all of these, but maybe some where what you were describing happens, where the animal has some sort of chemical weirdness to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Can we go all the way back to 1967?
Go back to the OG cattle mutilation?
Yeah.
The original? The day ones.
September 9th of 67, Angus King and her son Harry found the dead body of their 3-year-old horse, Lady.
Uh-oh.
I'm assuming it was a lady horse, but the horse's name was Lady.
Hey, we don't judge here.
Yeah, whatever. Name your horse whatever you want.
Right.
Lady's head and neck had been skinned and defleshed.
His head fell off.
And the body displayed cuts. The body displayed cuts that looked very precise. No blood was at the scene, and a strong medicinal odor was present. So there are photos of this. If you want to look them up, they are pretty gross.
Nah.
It is a dead horse lying on the ground, and from the shoulders up, it is bone. So the neck and head have been cleaned down to the bone, to the skull and spine.
Piranhas.
And the rest of yes, it looks like a cartoon representation of what happens if you stick your foot into piranha infested waters.
Yuck.
It's just a clean line at the base of the neck where there is no. Are you looking it up?
I gotta do it.
How do you Google it?
Lady horse.
His head fell off.
Lady
Add that.
horse. Oh,
got it. Agnes King is the owner of said horse. That might help.
Oh shit!
Uh-oh. It's pretty gross. It looks like a fake skeleton horse.
I still had the shop link open. I keep going back and forth to take breaks from it. Ugh.
So they reported
Dude,
this
there's
to
a perfect circle on its cheek.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Sometimes
not its cheek, but down below where its mandible would be.
The jaw area.
Yeah.
There are some too where there's been a hole cut out of the skull. Did you see any of those?
I've heard almost bored into.
Yeah. You can take your brains out.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. A bunch of weird missing shit, like missing brains and missing. Ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, that was the first one to get pop culture attention and to be reported in newspapers and stuff. And then it spurred a bunch of other similar reports, whether it was, yeah, this has happened to me too, and now I feel like I should report it because somebody else did, or if it was, copycat something.
Well, that was a thing that I thought about as I was doing research for this episode. I was like, if this many have been reported of animal mutilations of goats and pigs and horses and cows, primarily cows, but of all the stuff
Bison mutilation,
bovine excision. How many more are there
that haven't been reported?
Yeah.
A lot probably.
How many dudes were like, this is not worth calling the sheriff's office or driving somewhere? That's fucked up and I don't like it, but I'm also going to either burn or bury this dead animal and get it out of my life and off my property.
Or I'm just going to give up on ranching.
I mean, I guess. I would imagine if it happened to you multiple times, it might be enough to be
Well, going back to the Skinwalker Ranch situation, didn't they lost 10 or 15 animals to the point where they just sold the rest of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had that one weird situation where all the bulls were put inside of their trailer. Remember that one?
That was so weird.
Without the door having been opened or unlocked?
That was so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. We're conflating things.
I mean, not really, though. It's just another report of some of the same weirdness.
Well, not the same weirdness. Transporting animals through a metal trailer wall versus their flesh disappearing is different.
Well, with some of the cattle mutilation stuff, though, there are reports of the animals being moved large distances sometimes, too. It's a story that you opened with.
Yeah, that's true.
But then also there are ones where the animal will have injuries that are consistent with it being dropped from an extreme height. I came across one where a cow was found with its head buried a foot into the ground and its skull was crushed as if it had been dropped from a height high enough to have impacted the ground and burrowed its head into the ground.
Dude, what the fuck?
Right?
One of the ones that I saw.
And then there are no tracks in the area. There's another one where it was during the winter and it had just snowed, and an animal, a cow, was found in the middle of a field, dead, crushed as if it had been dropped, with no tracks around it.
Dude.
What in the fuck?
Dude,
so something is moving them, whether it's by like conventional, somebody came and picked it up and in a helicopter or something, or like, but why? I mean,
we gotta
even
talk
with that,
about the helicopters.
Why in the fuck would you want to do that?
Another one I saw said it was actually, I didn't even see it. It's an interview of a guy who saw it happen. He like stumbled upon it. It was one of the mutilated cows they found in a tree, in a cottonwood tree, like in the branches of a cottonwood tree. And he was like, he literally goes,
was there a tornado?
I don't know.
Is it
Maybe.
just Twister?
Yeah, right. He's like, we walked up and there was hanging up inside of a cottonwood tree. Now, explain that to me. I was like, I can't. You explain that to me. You saw it, dog. Fuck.
You know I can't do that, sir.
Yeah, sir. If anyone can explain that, you would be the person, not me.
Well, there was one in Vancouver in the 90s where a guy found 5 of his cattle dead, and they had various body parts removed, like the eyes, tongue. The tongue is cut out often for some reason. I don't think we've mentioned that yet.
Yeah.
And various internal organs. And then those organs were found scattered across 3 different pastures, like within a few miles of his.
What?
So something cut out a cow's tongue and eyeballs and guts and then just
them?
like tossed them across the countryside.
That's one of the first examples I've heard, though, of there being evidence that has been found of those things.
With that case, too, an OSU, Oregon State University analysis found that the animal's wounds, because they collected the body parts that they found and brought them to the university.
Yeah.
And they found that the animal's wounds were consistent with, quote, electrosurgical excision and heat-induced injury.
Yeah.
Possibly from a laser.
That goes back to the microwave shit too, right?
So something cut out a cow's tongue with a laser and then threw it 3 miles down the road?
The fuck?
What possible motivation would you have to do that?
What in the fuck?
And how did you get to that cow without leaving any footprints?
I hate it. I hate it so much. This one is one of those, like, it's one of those ones where I'm just like, it gives me that like icky weird feeling inside where I'm like, this is too weird.
Yeah.
We got too weird. Took us long enough.
This is right on the border of like, it's hard to make this one fun because it's so awful. But I think the exception, it's like.
But I eat a lot of beef.
It's just on this side of serial killers for me because it's cows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm never going to talk about murder on this show. But I guess cow murder is okay.
Yeah.
It's just barely.
I think a cow gets murdered every 3 years so that I can have cheeseburgers.
I don't think that's how that works.
I mean,
I think we make a bunch of extra ones that like stand around on top of each other waiting for you to want to eat one.
Cows stand on top of each other?
They're like goats.
I meant more conceptually, but yes, I'm with you.
They just stack them up now because they don't have enough land left. Some cows just live entirely on top of other cows.
Wow. Is that what,
they
we're headed for?
They just put like AstroTurf on the backs of the lower cows.
Is this like the cow matrix?
Yeah. Basically.
You
know, it's like, those hydroponic systems where you can have like fish fertilizing plants growing in the water.
Yeah, aquaponic
it's like,
systems.
Sure. That. It's like that, but it's all cows and no water. It's just cows on top of cows on top of cows.
I don't think that works at all.
It doesn't. That's why they're all sick and we're all slowly dying.
We're all slowly dying. Act accordingly.
Yep. We got to take a break and we're going to come back and talk about maybe what's going on here and why people are cutting cows' tongues out with lasers.
Boy, there's a lot of weird theories out there about that part too.
Okay. See you in a second.
Bye.
Cows, though, huh?
Bro, do you think that there is a certain specific alien population that treats very specific cattle parts that we don't like at all as delicacies?
No, I think cow hemoglobin and human hemoglobin is very similar, and that the Greys are using it for their alien-human hybridization program.
The lizards?
No, the Greys. The Greys aren't lizards. Come on, man.
They're trying to...
The Greys are the little human-looking robot-ish guys.
Right. So they're trying to assimilate?
No, come on. Part of the Greys' agenda is that they're running an alien-human hybrid program, and that's why they abduct people and probe around in your private parts.
Yeah, more anus shit, man. What the hell?
Well, probably not anus maybe they just missed. But if they're interested in reproduction, it's probably not there. But like, that's why they impregnate people and then steal their babies, and that's why Dave Huggins had to fuck them like 300 times.
Oof.
That whole thing. But so they need
that whole thing.
They need some extra like human bits so they don't have to abduct people all the time. And they learn that you can take cow bits or cow blood, and I think that's what's going on. So we'll see you next week. This has been the What If Podcast.
That was it. No. There are a lot of people who have a lot of reasons this is happening.
Let's go through some of them.
What's your favorite?
Cults.
Oh wait, can I read you one quote that I really liked a lot from an Esquire article?
Sure.
It was an Esquire article by Ed Sanders that said more than 1,500 cattle in 22 states have been killed and mutilated with their blood drained and select organs removed. Suspects range from satanic cultists to government researchers, which we'll get to.
Yep.
But the quote in like the third paragraph, he just says, the removal of cow vulvas and bulldongs caused speculation that weirdos were involved.
He said bulldogs?
The removal of cow vulvas and bulldongs caused speculation that weirdos were involved is exactly the quote of this in this article.
That's incredible. His editor let him say bulldogs.
Cow vulvas and bulldogs cause speculation.
Is dong like that's not a medical term of any kind, is it?
If it is, God bless him for making it one, because it's way fun to say.
Bulldong.
Also cause speculation that weirdos were involved. It's just phenomenal.
You don't say.
Yeah. Anyway, that was actually maybe my favorite sentence of this entire episode that I had to research.
It's not normal to remove bulldogs.
Some weird folks be taking your junk.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Cults, I guess. I think we can throw that one out pretty quickly, even though it's a fun answer.
Well, there are people that say that, which, yeah, it's fun and both not fun, because some people say that there are people who get their rocks off by like doing fucked up things to animals, and this
that's
like
real for sure.
Well, that's real for sure, but that this is like a version of that but it doesn't explain the vast majority of the symptoms that we continue to talk about, right? Like, where's the blood going? Why are there no footprints?
That's maybe the weirdest part of all of it. That would be really hard to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And it immediately gets rid of the official explanation, because any predator that's going to rip something to bits because it's hungry and eating it is going to cause blood to leak all over the place. Like 12 pounds of blood is going to go fucking everywhere. Think about if you took 12 pounds of milk and just dumped it on your floor right now. It would be fucking everywhere. It would be down in your other room down the hallway.
Well, yeah. With some of them, like, I don't know, again, enough about how decomposition works. If an animal's been dead for a while, what happens to the blood in the body? Does it...
One of the things I read was that it can settle like down into the body.
Right, because it's not being pumped evenly anymore.
Pumped, and that it basically like solidifies and starts to decompose. But I think that only applies if there aren't like a bunch of gaping wounds in the animal. That's the weird part to me, is like, how do you core out an anus and there's not blood all over the ground? Or how do you fucking
maybe it's happened. We don't know the order in which those things happened. You know what I mean? Maybe it happened after the animal was already dead for a while.
Maybe.
With some of these cases, obviously the ones where these things happened in 20 minutes, that doesn't apply.
And also, too, I gotta feel like, I don't know much about much, but I would have to imagine that, like, how many days does a cattle rancher go without seeing its cows?
Yeah, probably not very many.
Like, I would imagine 3 or maybe 4 at the most, but like 12 pounds of blood in an animal doesn't settle, decompose, and disappear from the body. Especially because some of them are saying that like some of the organs found, once they go in and like remove some of the other organs, that they have that appearance and texture of like organs where the blood has actually been like sucked out of the animal, like removed from the organs, not just settled.
What would that possibly be? Like, assuming that that's correct, what the hell would do that?
I mean, I would imagine you could possibly have a machine that has enough suction power.
How do you get the cow to agree to that, though?
I don't think you do.
So you kill it first, or you somehow sedate it first?
That's the other thing about this. There are not bullet holes in these animals. There's
no reason for them to be dead in the first place.
Jugular neck cuts.
Right.
There are no.
Well, if you sedated it and you took all its blood out, it's going to wake up dead because it has no blood.
Well, right.
So you could do that, I guess.
True.
But then, I don't know, has anyone ever tested these animals for drugs?
I think I read something about that, but I don't have any good data on it. I saw that.
And even then, what would be the possible motivation for obtaining 12 pounds of cow blood? The hell are you going to do with that?
No idea. One thing I read or saw that I don't have in front of me right now said that in some situations, there was evidence of anticoagulants left in the animals.
Okay.
Which is like what they use to like prevent your blood from clotting.
Right.
Which would say to me that like that's a proactive removal of the blood of an animal. But that sounds so crazy to say out loud. Like that's fucking nuts. Who the fuck would actually do that?
Well,
that can't
and it's
be
not
real.
like it happened once. You know what I mean? It's happened thousands of times.
10,000 times in the last 20, 30 years?
So a whole bunch of people are doing this one really weird thing for no apparent reason?
Which makes no sense either.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of shit too out there about like the fucking government and military shit, which is an interesting, and we brought it up a little bit earlier.
One other thing, just real quick on the, if it were a human doing this.
Okay, yes.
So,
the cult shit you mean, or something else?
Yeah. So if you're going to get even close enough to an animal, I guess cows would probably let you just walk up to them, right? If they're domestic cows and bulls, maybe.
Big cow ranches with some of those cows, like I don't think they see humans very often. They run away from horses. Like, I don't know.
So I watched one documentary that was in where they were talking to a guy who is a rancher who had a bunch of wild bison on and around his property. And this same type of mutilation where all the blood was drained happened to one of the bison.
Oh, that's interesting.
And he was saying that, like, even during the day, if you were to walk up to them, they would probably attack you because it would be threatening.
Oh, yeah.
And for sure, if you did it at night, like, they would probably kill you. If you walked into a herd of bison in the middle of the night, you would probably be stomped out pretty quickly.
Don't bison weigh like fucking 1,000 pounds or something crazy like that?
I mean, some of even the cattle we're talking about, like some of the bulls can be 1,500 plus.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, I would never walk into a group of them ever, much less at night where they couldn't see me coming.
Right.
And someone has successfully sedated one of them and drained its blood without any of the other ones doing anything.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't even seem possible.
Right.
So if it's not that, or at least some of them obviously aren't that.
Right.
Which would also leave tracks.
For sure.
Which is something that's not ever seen. It's just like
reported.
A lone animal with nothing around it.
Right.
Like, you would see the tracks of the other animals and of a person and of some sort of struggle. Even if you sedate an animal, it's not going to happen instantly. It's still going to wander from wherever it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Or it's going to, I mean, if you're close and you shoot an animal with some sort of tranquilizer, if it's a fucking 2,000-pound bison, it's going to come at you.
Right. It's going to take a second for that thing to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to work its way through a 2,000-pound animal.
Yeah. And it's going to be pissed for the first minute and a half that it's trying to figure out what the fuck just happened.
So if it's not, and then you still have the issue of, like, there's no motive apparent.
No.
Like, what do you gain from doing any of that?
No, the some of the Senate letters that you can find are the FBI.gov stuff is pretty interesting about some of this stuff.
This goes all the way back to the 70s, correct?
Yep. I can actually, if I can get up really quickly.
I'll put a link to them in the notes too.
Okay, cool. There's one from Floyd Haskell, who was a senator.
Yeah, he was sort of the main dude that was most vocal about this issue.
Yeah, he was a senator in Colorado who wrote to Theodore Roszak, who was the special agent in charge at the Denver post of the FBI. And he wrote, for several months, my office has been receiving reports of cattle mutilations throughout Colorado and western states. At least 130 cases in Colorado alone have been reported to local officials, and the CBI has verified that the incidents have occurred for the last 2 years in 9 separate states. Ranchers and rural residents of Colorado are concerned and frightened. The bizarre mutilations are frightening in themselves, and then he discusses a whole bunch of stuff. Because I am gravely concerned by this situation, I'm asking the FBI enter this case. Clearly something must be done before someone gets hurt. Like he's fucking super freaked out by the whole thing.
Well, and also like I understand it from the rancher's perspective of each of these animals probably costs $1,000 or more.
Oh, I think significantly
just
more
to replace, and then you're not getting any income.
Right.
So you're losing thousands of dollars every time this happens, and it's been happening. There are people who lost 10 or 20 animals to this.
For sure.
That means you didn't make money that year.
For sure.
In some of these cases.
Yeah, for sure. 20
that's
times.
going to put you out of business.
Right.
It's, yeah. And so I think, that's regardless of what was causing it, I understand the investigation from that angle of like, this is a real life concern for the people who own these animals.
Yeah. Your constituents have a financial investment in this not happening anymore.
Right. And if it's happening a lot in one area where that's a major source of income for that area, then as a representative of whatever area, you sort of have an obligation to do something about that.
Yeah, there's a 5-part series on FBI.gov about animal mutilation, but the end of their case was really them saying technically speaking, this isn't a federal investigation issue because even though it's happened in multiple different states, it's sort of hard to say.
They're independent of one another?
They're independent of one another. And also it's hard to say, was a crime committed?
Oh, because you don't know what caused it?
Because you can't actually identify what did it. So
there is technically a natural possible explanation.
I mean,
if it is predators and scavengers and insects and stuff, then that wouldn't be a crime.
Right. And you can't prove that it's not that. So is that the FBI going look, this isn't larceny. This isn't fucking, nobody robbed a bank. There's dead fucking cattle is fucking weird as fuck.
Now, if we have evidence that somebody came onto your property and did this, different story.
Yeah. If you had footage of a group of bandits that were coming in and
a group of bandits,
dude, in the 60s and 70s, for sure they're bandits, man. They got handkerchiefs over their faces and shit.
They sailed in on a pirate ship.
Vikings. Oh, sad.
Yeah, whatever. NFL sucks. Fuck the Super Bowl.
Oh, God. Spencer and I are going to
those non-tax-paying rich bitches.
Fuck Philadelphia.
Also fuck Philadelphia.
And all your fans.
And Patriots fans. Racist, Trump-loving fucks.
Spencer and I are going to leave the state for the Super Bowl just so that we don't have to fucking be here for it.
Let's just go to Duluth or something and record a podcast every day that week.
I'm actually kind of totally on board for that.
All right, cool.
Do you want to?
I'd like to get the fuck from here. Where we record our podcast is about a mile from where the Super Bowl is going to be taking place.
And it's going to be a nightmare.
And it's already the worst.
Let's go rent a cabin and make an EP and record 5 episodes of this show in 4 days.
Also, it snowed a foot here yesterday or whatever. Yeah, right? 2 days ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Starting yesterday.
In the last 36 hours.
I also just haven't left my house in 48 hours, and that's been fine. So it's good practice,
just do that
right?
again?
I just got to
unplug all your electronics.
I'm just going to plan ahead and buy groceries this time.
Right.
Because I kind of don't have any food in my house right now. But
Spencer's crunching on raw ramen in here.
I've been getting a lot done the last 2 days. So
there you go.
Just do that for a week instead. Turn the heat up. close the windows so you don't have to see how shitty it is outside.
See?
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's talk a little more about what might be happening, and then we should wrap this up.
All right. What else is happening?
Well, one of the more interesting theories to me is that it's some sort of governmental operation.
Got to get those bulldongs.
Okay. Like I said earlier, no one explanation totally makes sense for this. That being the part that doesn't make sense for the government operation angle. Like, what do they want with bull penis?
The gov-op.
But
go ahead.
One theory I've heard suggested is that some of the animals, or a lot of the animals that were killed because they contracted mad cow disease, were actually repurposed as fertilizer. And there is an ongoing testing process to make sure that that disease doesn't get reintroduced to plants and animals, or to animals through what they're consuming.
Yeah, but so I hear you, and that's interesting.
I don't know why you'd have to kill them.
Right.
Or take their dicks.
And do it all in secret. Like, why couldn't you go around to, if that were the case, that's what the government's trying to do. You go to ranchers.
Larry, can I draw some blood from Steve the bull over there?
Yeah, you go to ranchers in the area and you say, we need to periodically test 10% of your herd every 18 months and make sure, or whatever, like you just standardize. They do that same type of shit. It's the same shit with the cattle inspectors. Like, that's a real job for similar reasons.
Also, you don't have to like skin them.
And microwave their fucking guts and like rip their dicks off. That's fucked up, man. Like, there are ways to do that are way less fucking asshole ways to get some information.
I'm sorry, Larry. The only way to test for mad cow is to microwave their dicks. I don't know. We just gotta slam it in the door, run that thing for about 5 minutes. He's probably gonna die, and when he does, we're gonna cut his face off. But we'll be pretty sure after we're done that he doesn't have mad horse disease.
Yeah. The rest of your animals will be totally fine after we violently fuck up one of them. Oh, okay. Thanks,
we have to send a message to the rest of the herd. If you contract mad cow, we'll slam your dick in a microwave.
This is what happens.
Sorry.
That one, I stumbled across a similar version of that, and that just seems... The fact that it's cultist seems insane and ridiculous and over the top. There's way too many of that.
Maybe some of them. I could see that for some of them.
Sure. Maybe some of them.
Like animal sacrifice, or you need...
But tens of thousands on multiple continents with all of the same evidence or lack of evidence that we've talked about. There's no way. Same thing with a governmental program for research or whatever. Like, there's no way.
It doesn't make a lot of sense unless there's something that we're just totally missing.
Why would they be doing that to tens of thousands of animals? And again, the other thing about it that makes it weird is like there aren't footprints. There aren't.
Well, they use those black helicopters, bro.
So should we talk about the black helicopters?
I guess. I really hoped we would never talk about black helicopters on the podcast because it's just like the most
classic,
the most hacky fucking conspiracy. I saw a helicopter.
It had no distinguishing marks on it. It is a thing that people say. I
think we just covered it. There were helicopters, maybe, according to some people.
Some people have seen
once upon a time
helicopters in and around areas where
there are cows.
There are cows, and ones that have had their dicks ripped off
and then dropped face first into the dirt from
that one's fucked
a mile up.
But I do think, though, that there is something to be said for people who go, like, are they getting yanked up to something? Because that would explain there being...
Oh, yeah, no, aliens are, like, probably the best explanation, honestly.
I guess we got to go there. And I fucking hate you for being kind of right about that, which is so fucked up.
Well, okay, it would explain the...
Yes.
We don't understand anatomy.
Yes.
And we're just, like, grabbing stuff. It would explain that we have weird...
Or we do understand the concept of reproduction and want to...
We can just take the dick, right? That's all we need?
Vaginas, buttholes,
just core out the vagina. That'll be fine. Ugh. We can just take that part.
Ugh. This is so awful.
Brain, I guess that maybe would make sense. It would
Blood is our literal life-sustaining.
And according to some random forum on the internet, the cow's blood is very similar to human blood.
Okay. I mean,
sure,
even if it weren't,
right. It would explain the lack of footprints, or animal prints, I guess, too.
Right. I would also imagine, you could presume in the course of examining an issue like this, you could presume that a big part of the reason that we uncover this phenomenon in livestock is because livestock are intentionally cared after beings. And
no one would notice if somebody was doing this to deer.
Yeah, if somebody fucked up a deer, you find a decomposed deer.
Never think twice about it.
And wouldn't think twice about it. You'd be hunting in the woods. You'd be like, that deer is fucked up.
So are you saying that to say it's probably also happening to a bunch of other animals, or isn't it weird that they're doing it to the only animals that we actively keep tabs on?
I'm saying it could be either. I'm saying if it were happening in other animals, fucking coyotes and squirrels and deers
snake mutilation is a huge problem.
No one can have pet boa constrictors anymore because they keep showing up without their butts.
Snake have a butt?
Does a snake have a butt?
Yeah.
Where do you think it gets rid of all that fucking shit it eats?
I don't know.
It doesn't just absorb it into.
I thought they were just perfectly efficient killing machines.
Is that how you thought like boa constrictors became so big? Is they just fully absorb every ounce of it they consume? Right.
When they swallow an alligator whole, they just absorb all the powers of the alligator.
You know what? Yes. Yes.
All right.
But yeah, no, I think there's a possibility that it either is happening in places that we don't find often because they're not monitored, or if the fucking answer is goddamn aliens, it makes more sense to me. I can't believe I'm saying these sentences I'm saying out loud right now.
Yes.
It makes more sense to me that they would be doing it to like the things that are obviously contained and cordoned and watched after.
These must be important because the humans keep them.
Right. And,
let's test this by starting a snake farm in Colorado.
And see if we get some mutilated fucking snakes.
Yeah.
What do you really think this is?
I don't know. This is why I want to talk about it. Because none of these make any damn sense. Lightning and insects.
I also saw those.
I'm saying the combination. Also, like...
You're saying a lightning strike is so hot and intense that it fries and microwaves their blood and kills an animal, and then bugs get to it quickly and start decomposing the soft bits.
Yeah.
And maybe it bloats and blows out its butt and center. And
also, if an insects are going to enter the body through squishy openings, like the eyes and the mouth and the butt.
Yeah.
I think if there's a normal explanation, that's probably it.
Lightning and bugs.
Yeah, or just like, no, you didn't keep great tabs on that horse and he was really sick. Just because, like, yes, we have photographic evidence of this, but everything else is just based on testimony from people we don't know, which is worth almost nothing to me.
Right.
No, it was 20 minutes. Okay, Steve.
Yeah.
It was 3 days and you don't want to look like you're a shitty rancher. Like we would never know.
I mean, yes and no. I guess for me though, I would say of a lot of the things that we've talked about on this show so far, the pattern that holds both from like the actual symptoms of what has happened to an animal and the sheer, whoa, what the fuck? I've never seen that before. That's disturbing and strange and unnatural. That ranchers who are like the most capable people to examine those things and have seen all of the things that can happen to a cow and know their diseases and know what predators do and all that stuff. Like the fact that disturbs them and freaks them out and makes them feel like this is a weird thing.
It's definitely really fucking weird. I in no way deny that.
No, I know. I'm just saying that like that combination for me is really what does it. It's the pattern that is so recurring and our best experts in this fucking field, the fucking people who have raised cattle for 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 years go, no, something's super fucked up here and I don't know what's going on, but this isn't natural or normal or anything I've ever seen before.
Right.
Like that combination is like,
yeah, if lightning strikes on animals were that common, then they should know about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, we got to run.
All right, we got to run. Thanks, everybody. Hope you had fun.
What are we doing next week? Is it going to be more fun? I don't remember what's on our calendar.
I can't remember. We have it on the calendar, though.
It's probably more fun. This was like the most depressing one we've done in a while.
I don't know. It's
or
still
like the
fun,
most
though.
gruesome, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little gruesome, but I feel like,
I don't think anything's dying next week.
Yeah. And if you're vegan and you're mad about the cows dying, I'm sorry, but I'm still going to eat cheeseburgers. Shop.whatifpodcast.com if you want to check out the Robot Grandma t-shirts and everything else we got. If you want to send us a message, it's always hi@whatifpodcast.com. And if you want to get 2 episodes every single week instead of just one, patreon.com/whatifpodcast, and you can get both.
We out.
We out this piece. See you next week. Love you. Bye.
We out of here.
We'll be back next week with another episode of the What If Podcast. Learn more at www.whatifpodcast.com.